Hello, this is the Service Hero Show. 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. Today is July the 7th, 2020. My name is Tamara Hunter. I am your host, and we will again be telling another story of someone that is inspiring others. Are you ready? Let's do this. We have our service hero with us today, Deanna Marie Kuempel. She is actually a nominated service hero from someone, wink, wink, that stays behind the scenes, yet is kind of prominent, yet we'll call a reporter, over at Scene Chicago. In fact, I was talking to this individual and saying, okay, so I really want to be telling the story of those that are inspiring others through storytelling. And this person said, okay, definitely you need to highlight and honor Deanna Marie for exactly that. And as I've been getting to know this amazing, unbelievable, kind of really out there, oh my goodness, down to earth, and the girl next door, if that has some style. This woman is incredible, and her story just gets more and more interesting the more and more I've gotten to know her. So I want to say thank you for being with us, Deanna, and welcome to everybody that's here with the Service Hero Show. In fact, we have one of the Chemo Buddies, one of my nonprofit ambassadors, one of our senior ambassadors with us right now, Sherry McQueen. Glad that you're here with us. I'm excited that you're here, actually, because you're gonna love Deanna. Do you like to go by Deanna Marie or Deanna?
Yeah, Deanna's good.
Okay, Deanna's good. Okay, good. All right, so you had quite the life, right? I mean,
yeah,
just even to start there and then to go into what you're doing to be sharing the stories that you're sharing. And I want to know, I'm glad you're here today, Skip. You must have been feeling it, because you are going to want to be here for Deanna and her story and what it is that she's doing and how she's making things really be heard. Just really good for you, Deanna.
Thank you,
you're welcome. Let's start from you're there in Illinois.
Yes.
You're in an area that many can say, wow, historically, Springfield, Illinois, man, I know stories. I learned about those in elementary school. And, in that area, Springfield, Illinois is always been an area when you think about history, you think about politics, you think about things happening. It's kind of that middle part of the U.S. in some ways, and a way for many to say, okay, what's happening there kind of is somewhat representative of what's happening everywhere, but it might be a little bit more focused and a little bit more in the limelight. Like the history books.
Sure.
And you come from traditional background, and yet kind of in a way not really traditional. You were living kind of the really big high life there for a while, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah, with my late husband. Yep.
Yeah, let's go into that, because some people are going to say, okay, you were here and now you're there. And so I really want them to understand what here looked like. That not anything that I necessarily yet, let's say, wink, wink, not, I haven't lived that life quite yet. However, many have, but
yes,
that was your life.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Well, when you have the lifestyle that I had previously, flying the private jets, having the Ferrari, all that stuff. I mean, we worked hard. We worked really hard. So, as I had mentioned to you before we got on this, on the live stream, which thank you for having me, by the way. Like I said, I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little nervous. Now I know what guys feel like with me. Like, oh, crap. It humbles you a little bit, but I was married. My husband passed away almost 5 years ago. I was actually with my husband for almost 17 years. He was a little bit older than I was. I met him at the gym, and I met him very young, obviously. And I spent almost half my life with him before he passed. We dated for a couple of years, and then we got really serious. And, then I mean, we were together I could probably count on both my hands how many times we were apart in 10 years. Like, we did everything together. We worked together, we trained together, we did everything. So, I mean, we were pretty bonded, but we had 5 businesses. One was our main manufacturing business. I was vice president of key accounts and business operations. He was grooming me to take over the business, which toward the end there, I mean, he was really sick. That's why he's not with us anymore. We had an installation arm of that business, which was rapidly growing. And then we had several real estate holding companies. So we were really busy. I pretty much managed all of those, from the finances to the hiring to, I mean, the last contract that I had gotten was worth about $20 million. So I actually doubled the size of the company with one contract prior to him really taking a bad turn and life falling apart as I know it for myself. So, I was blessed to live that life, but that comes with sacrifice, So, I mean, you're working nonstop. You have to ask yourself, is that worth it? There were a lot of days that I asked myself, is this really worth it? And my husband being so sick towards the end there, the last couple of years of his life, you really then you start questioning even more. Is it really worth working this hard for all of this? Because you're sick, you can't really enjoy it, and neither can I, because now I'm a caretaker and your life's in my hands. So yes, so I had that, and then when he passed away, life changes, and it changed drastically. But it took me a little bit, but I recovered, and I have a great life now, and I'm able to enjoy it a lot more.
And I want to recognize we have Carol here. Carol, another one of our senior ambassadors for the nonprofit, and one of our very loyal fans here at Service Heroes Show. And I want to say, yes, Elijah, you are here. She's louder than most. We need more loud voices. I agree with you. I have listened now to. I've become a fan also. Sometimes you need to step down for a while before you can step up again. Also, sorry for what happened, Deanna. Had no idea, but you are strong. Step back to step up. Love that. Oh my goodness, Elijah. Elijah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, okay, let's without going into too many details here, but you were living this life, and yes, just to let everybody know, yes, you were being groomed, but there were some extenuating circumstances. So from what was you were being groomed and being taught, and then you were starting to take over, it was all of a sudden, it all went away. It wasn't, yeah, it went away for you for certain reasons. We don't need to really go into that, but all of a sudden it was gone, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's very, and I think I rolled with it. A lot of my friends were like, if I were you, I'd be balled up in the corner. And all you could do is keep moving forward after something like that. I knew my husband I knew he wasn't going to make it. He essentially was giving up, and no matter what I said or how much I tried to, encourage him and just be that source of strength, it wasn't happening. So unfortunately, I kind of knew. I mean, his body was just not cooperating with what we wanted it to do. But it is it humbles you, and it kind of brings you to your knees when you are here and then you're here. So I tell a lot of people, like, I've been at the top and the bottom and everywhere in between. And like, there's not anywhere that I can't talk to somebody and kind of relate. I don't think that everybody can relate with where I was in that lifestyle, because it is a lot. It's a big responsibility, and it's a heavy weight to live that kind of lifestyle. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine, because, I'm just putting my consultant's hat, because I was a business consultant. I worked with companies that, I could have worked with you. I could have consulted with you. Did I have the Ferrari and the gated community? I have lived in a gated community before, but I never had the huge, how many square feet did you say that house was? It was
with the basement, everything was like 12,000 square feet.
Yeah, no, I haven't been there.
It was too much, though. I told him, I said, you know what? I said a long time, like after we were married, like, we don't need all this space. Like, let's downsize. We could be in like a 5,000 square foot home and be just as comfortable.
Right.
And not have all that. I mean, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can show you pictures. And it's like, I like tell some people, like, I used to live there. That was my house.
That one over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. Oh, yeah, right. It was. You want me to show you? I got proof. But I'm just thinking about, that there is a time and a season for different things. Yes. And here was a time and a season where you got to learn what you got to learn. You got to see who you were, what was important to you, what wasn't important to you. And right now, with what you're doing, we're gonna not jump there quite yet, but I'm thinking that with what you're doing right now, that experience from that period of time has got to be playing really well for, you can call upon certain things and be able to talk the lingo for with those people that you need to be speaking with. And they know, that okay, she gets it. She understands it. She's been there. She's done that. And there's a level of credibility that comes from that. And sometimes we need to have those experiences in life, wouldn't you say? Because of that for that very reason. You never know.
I miss being a leader, though. Like, that's one thing that I do miss. I've learned that throughout the last 5 years and going through all that. I don't miss having that big of a lifestyle, but I do miss leading, because I feel like there's not enough good leaders in the world. So that's something that, as I, in the future, maybe I had to take a break, because that when you are leading 5 different companies and you're talking about those big of numbers, it's nice to kind of take a break. But I do miss that part.
Yeah. And okay, I wouldn't be surprised, but we're going to keep going with the story. Okay. And I would not be surprised now, especially, remember, guys, I said she was a nominated service hero. Wink, wink, from us, one of the reporters, let's just say, from Scene Chicago. Yes. Okay. So are you getting kind of the drift here? Yeah, let's keep going. Mikey, I love it. Love it. So, so glad you're here with us. So glad you're here with us. And
I love this. This is cool.
Good afternoon. Yeah, isn't it fun?
Yeah.
And so I was like, you're going to love this. You're going to love this show. This is a fun show to do. All right. So now you go from the corporate, let's say, or, the businesses and that lifestyle and everything. And then, okay, what do I do now? You have a sense of style. I mean, you definitely, I pulled some of your pictures. I pulled a lot of them, but then I thought, oh, that's right. We've got some affiliates that maybe we should be somewhat, careful with some.
I like my wigs.
I know, I love it. And you got, I mean, hot yoga and working out like you do and being the healthy person that you are, you got some really, let's just say you photograph beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
That way, and here we've got, just kind of a sampling, but you then go into fashion design, and because you have a knack for this. And you've got, I don't know that I go, here, we got some more guys, look at this. This is kind of really amazing looks. And yes, they're all her. Yeah. and so you have a tendency to be able to put together, which I just admire that in so many ways. Either you have it or you don't, and you do, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that because let's just say I'm challenged in that area, and so we all have our thing, and you went from business, you went into fashion design. So
I
let's
did.
talk a
Yeah.
little bit about this period of time.
So after my husband passed, I did have to go to court for quite a while because I was ownership in several of the businesses. I had ownership, and I ultimately had to fight for, a settlement. And I was like, after that was over, I was like, okay, my dream was always to get into fashion. I didn't go to school for it. And honestly, I learned, I feel like I paid for an education there because it cost me quite a bit of money and there wasn't a lot of return. I think that to get into fashion and to be very savvy and nimble with it, you have to have a little bit of, you have to have a little bit more background and experience in probably like e-commerce and marketing because, really these days, social media, you can market the crap out of something, and really depending upon the marketing, like your plan, you can be successful or not successful. So I did 3 collections. My last collection, and we could probably get a little bit more into this, my last collection, I centered it around, I did a big, huge event against human trafficking. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be my last collection. I'm gonna go out with a bang. And I got 6 other designers here in Chicago. We got about 300 people. We raised about, I think it was 20 grand or something like that. But I had great alcohol sponsors. I mean, it was amazing. I did a great job. But I also did say after my 3rd collection, if I don't get it off the ground, I'm no longer going to pursue it. I did have a successful Kickstarter. I don't know if you've ever done a Kickstarter or know anything about that, but it is a crowdfunding platform, and I raised over $5,000 for my first collection. But during that period, the people I was working with in New York kind of pull a fast one, and they changed the pricing structure for me to get things manufactured. So then I had to really work. I had already taken all this money for the crowdfunding. So I'm like, I can't not supply, what I promised my backers, what they paid for. So I was like going crazy trying to find a manufacturer here in Chicago and just trying to find the fabric that I had picked out. I mean, it was like I had to jump through hoops. It was quite the experience. Quite the experience. But I ended up doing it. I pulled it off. It probably cost me 3 times of what I raised. Then I ended up doing the next 2 collections. And then the last one was very avant-garde, a little bit more edgier than what I had done. And, I did that event, and it was bittersweet, because I finished the 3 collections and I really loved doing it, but I don't feel like I ever found out who my target customer was. And, I was kind of a little bit all over the place. I'm not going to lie, because I felt like I had something for everyone. But in order to be successful, especially with fashion or something like that, you really have to know who your customer is. And I didn't do that.
Elijah's sharing online Kickstarter. I heard of it, but can't seem to figure it out. Trying to use it to raise money for a film I'm doing, a short film. How do you kickstart? And we can go into that for a moment, and then maybe offline we can also go through with Elijah. But I know that there are quite a few people that right now, and again, I'm starting these shows with the date, and the reason I'm doing that, I used to number them. Sure. And I'm dating them now because of what's happening in our world. And there's so many people that are flipping, and they're pivoting, as many are saying. That's a real popular word right now. And there's a shift. There's a shift taking on. There's no way of denying that things have changed. Don't know if they're going to completely change back, but people are looking for different opportunities. So since you've done one online Kickstarter through a crowdfunding, how, in a few words, how does that work?
So I would recommend for Elijah to do Indiegogo. My cousin just did a successful short film. She raised about $9,000 and she is going to submit them to the film festivals. So I could talk to Elijah offline. We are connected on Facebook and I could give him a little bit more advice on how to do that, because with Indiegogo, they have a lot more options for the artists or the creators where so Kickstarter, if you don't raise your goal, you don't get any of the money. But Indiegogo, they don't force that on you. So whatever money you do raise, even if it's not your goal. And I think that with a creator, when it comes to film, they give you a little bit more exposure. So I would recommend that instead of Kickstarter.
Okay. Well, thank you. And we have quite a few people that are involved in the film industry. And no, you're fine. Elijah, this is a participatory show. We have fun here at Service Heroes. Yeah. We do actually tell inspiring stories that are going to inspire you. And we want people to be inspired. And so if you're inspired, you may also be helping others that have the same question that need to have this inspiring answer too. And so thank you for feeling as though you could ask the question. I really love that. Cool. That would be great, Deanna. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And okay, so we've covered now your business background and, and the fact that there, we all have those stories in our lives, or at least some of us do, that have lived lives that, sometimes our personal lives get kind of in the middle of whatever else that we're doing. And so then there may be a pivot or shift that takes place. Mm-hmm. You made some choices. You went to school, you got some education, you followed one of your dreams, one of your innate, it looks like an innate kind of ability. You can see that you love, color and the way you put yourself together and everything. You're just awesome. And so it makes sense that you would check that out. And you are not the only one that has struggled with being all over the place. I didn't even understand what an avatar was except for a movie. For the longest time, right? People are like, what's your avatar? Who are you? Like, you mean like the movie, The Big Blue People? Oh, I would
ask that. That's what I would think though too, but I know what it means now. But yeah,
I didn't either before, but I know now. And anybody that's involved in any kind of business these days, they're asked that question. And one of our ambassadors of the chat, Rachel Johnson. So glad you're with us, and you're going to see some of our buddies. They're talking to each other. This is what we do in our close group, is that we actually do visit with each other. We encourage it. And this is, I am an extension of that group, being the president and co-founder, that anything I do, they know they are more than welcome to chat during it. And it's not to be disrespectful to you, Deanna, or anybody, but
I love it.
Oh, good. Because that's who we are. And Inspire Tamara, Deanna amazes me and continues to amaze me. We just met as friends at a rally a few months back, and she is one of the good friends I have, and we're going to go into that next, actually, by way of, so fashion, then you go into podcasting.
Well, so I have a skincare line I did with my mother. I still have a couple of products. I do fitness, online fitness and health coaching. I do that. But at the end of that event, I'm like, okay, I'm not someone that can sit around. And I think you're probably a lot like that as well. I'm like, what am I going to do next? So honestly, I got an email by something I signed up for, and it said how to start a podcast for under $100. So I was feeling a little deflated after the event, after my third collection, like, bummer. I know I'm a strong businesswoman. I just couldn't get this off the ground. And I tried not to let myself feel like a failure. I'm like, okay, I went after my dream. That's a success in itself. Exactly. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. If I ever had the opportunity to go back into it again, I'd be a lot more strategic. I'd probably only do a couple pieces at once. And I would really fine tune who my customer base would be. But after that event I did last year, I was like, I got that email. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. And so I was talking to my girlfriend, and I'm like, I'd really like to do this. I'd like to talk to people that are paving their own way, that they're living life on their own terms, and they're just being a great example of what we should all be as human beings, and just like, living our truth, really. You know what I mean? So that's why I said label free, because I don't want anybody to put a label on me. Oh, there you go. Yeah. And I don't want to put a label on anybody else, because somebody who's living by their own terms probably wears a lot of different hats, and you can't really, like yourself, you can't really put them in a box. And so that's when I started it. And I really love it. I really love it. I think it's great. And it's hard to get guests sometimes, because people do get, and I mean, like I said, I was getting a little nervous to come on here. I'm like, okay, now I see what my guests feel like. But yeah, I do love it. I think it's great. And I hope to do it for the rest of my life.
I love it that you love it. And in fact, guys, I was listening to one of your latest podcasts, and like many podcasters, in fact, I'm on one this afternoon. I was on one earlier, and I'm on one again this afternoon. And they're oftentimes on some kind of a Zoom type of platform. Yes. They're recorded, right? Why don't you kind of walk people through it? And so, anybody that you're inviting, what is it that they can expect to be on your show?
Well, so before the whole pandemic happened, I was actually meeting people in person. We would meet at a library, or we'd meet somewhere where I could record it face to face. So I was doing that for a little bit. And so then as things changed and we couldn't really see each other face to face anymore, I adjusted very quickly, and I just thought, okay, well, let's just do it via Zoom. And so I would record it via Zoom, and I send it over to my producer, and he puts the label free on there and make sure that it's like edited nicely. And I typically like to talk for about 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, if we go longer, it's no big deal. But I feel in the podcasting arena, unless it's extremely interesting, people are going to lose interest, so you got to keep the energy up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I was putting a lot of questions together, but now I just feel it's better just to go more natural, and just kind of let things flow. I do like to get a bio from them first, so that I do have something to go off of, so that I can read it and just have a little bit about their background, instead of going into it blindly, like you asked me. And I was a little late to the appointment, but I got you something.
It's, and I will tell you this, because I do things a little differently than some podcasters, in that I was a recruiter, guys, and a headhunter for 18 years, and and also a genealogy detective, if you will, wink wink, well before the internet. And so, like, I love to find out about people, and so that's why I don't ask people for pictures. I go and find them myself, and I do a little research on my people, because I'm fascinated, and especially when it's someone like like Deanna here, she was nominated. We did visit by phone for a few minutes, and oftentimes it's just those few words that I need to be able to fill in for, like a description or something that I may want a bio, but I love going and finding, doing that little bit of research and stuff, because then people never know also what pictures is she gonna show.
I know. I don't know, the bodies are buried or what. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, never know.
No, there's no bodies buried anymore. No.
Anymore. I love it. I love that. I love it. So when you were there for a while, and I love the fact that, and I've seen some of these locations where they have those rooms that were available to rent for podcasting. Sometimes the libraries would have those quiet rooms that you could, go in there and do what you're going to do. I here have my own little studio that I've set up in my own place, and I've had it for a while, and so I've been able to shift through this,
Sure.
Already, because I wasn't already inviting people in, because it really isn't set up for that.
Yeah.
However, the idea of podcasting, in the very beginning when podcasting first started, I thought, what is a pod that's being casted? It's like podcasting. But and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm downloading a podcast. I'm like, oh, okay. And in fact, Deanna today actually told me, because I'm like, all right, I haven't put my.
We're gonna get you set up. You're gonna have.
Yeah, I have 3 years worth of stuff. Over 400 shows, and not one of them's on a podcast.
Well, we're gonna fix that for you.
I love you. I love this woman. So okay, so and the reason I'm going here is because when you were talking about that you would meet them, that you would go and you would meet them somewhere here or there or something, and you're in the greater Chicagoland area. Yes. You are still meeting people, and you are interviewing very, very interesting people. And the information that you have on your personal pages really do show where your strong voice, as Elijah was saying, your loud voice, which, and now as we've painted your picture, you are a person that has a bit of an opinion on what is going on in your neck of the woods, right?
Yes. And
let's go there now, because and this is where, before we really dive deep into this, I want to say that this is where I was like, this woman is incredible, because she's got both sides of so many different. You can't just say, okay, yeah, I got her figured out.
I don't have myself figured out yet.
Yeah, because the bottom line is, she considered you. I love the fact that you said you are a family-oriented person. You have strong beliefs in multiple different things. You believe in. Some people reference the Matrix. You believe in certain ways of thinking of what's going on right now, and you are not even, and you're willing to get out there and do something about it. You're not just saying it; you're actually willing to get out there and do something. So let's go there now.
Okay, sure. So before the whole pandemic I actually had a 9-to-5. I was working at Career Builder in tech sales. So aside from everything else that I do, I did have a full-time job, which I loved. Don't get me wrong. And then I was furloughed. And when I got furloughed, I started a Career Builder. Yes. Yeah. I love working there. I mean, technically I'm still employed, but we'll see what happens. When I got furloughed, I started reading a lot about what was going on. I started doing my own research, and I'm really not one to get involved in politics. I voted, but I don't really follow it very strongly. But when this stuff started happening, I started reading, I started researching, I had to make a decision where I stood. Am I going to be on this side, or am I going to stand or I'm going to be on this side? And so I decided to be the one that's going to stand over here, and I consider myself like a freedom fighter. I was not okay with what's going on in our state. I was not okay with Governor Pritzker. Still not okay with what he's doing. And that's when I started going to the rallies. That's how I met Elijah, and I met actually Ben Beerley. I met some of the other guests that I've had on my show, Teresa Rayborn, and there you go. Those were some of the ralliers. And you have to, if you're going to believe something, you have to stand up for what you believe in. And I felt like I did that. I've had to take a little bit of a break, because I was down there at Springfield. I was marching there at the Capitol with everybody. And I mean, I know there was a lot of articles that were going on about that. Yeah, there you go. I was there. And, I feel that, people come together that believe in something. I've lost a lot of friends during this. I've lost some connections. I've had some issues with some family members. But at the end of the day, like my mom would say, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And unfortunately, I don't agree with what is going on throughout our whole country, but specifically here in Illinois. And I did go to all the rallies. I did march with everybody. I was going live. I was making sure that I was hearing people speak, and just, yeah, I mean, there was a great feeling. It was very peaceful. None of no rioting, like some of this crazy stuff that you're hearing. It was very peaceful. People just coming together, business owners that are suffering because of the shutdown. And, it was, yeah, it was, I mean, I'll go to more rallies, sure, if we have to, but I feel like things are starting to get a little bit better. I don't know how great they're going to get until the election is over, to be honest, though. So it's unfortunate that a lot of this stuff is happening and it's an election year, but it is what it is. And yeah.
And in fact, right before you came on to meet me here on your label free, and I love the name of your podcast. I mean, I really do. I keep telling you that, but label free podcast, who is this gentleman that was your last guest?
So he's running for our state senate. I believe it's District 54. I've talked to so many different people. I don't always remember the details, but he's a salt of the earth kind of man. Like I was going to these rallies, meeting these constituents that are running for office. And, I just wanted to let me get an exclusive on you with Scene Chicago. Let me get you on my podcast. Let's hear about your, let's hear about your campaign and how we can support you. And he's a father of 5. He's taught politics. He was a Marine. So he's fought for our country, and he's got great, we have similar belief systems. So, I was very happy to get him on my show and to talk to him about, 43rd. Is it 43? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's Liza is watching your back here. Yeah, Ben Beerley.
Yes.
And I will say, guys, I'm not in any which way supporting one way or another. We're talking about her last podcast. I just want people to understand that this is talking about Deanna's story and what it is and why it is that she is doing what she's doing. Yeah. And so, and yet I will say that I was listening to it, and I love the way that you asked the questions. They were really good, solid questions. And then I was able to really get a feel for who he is as an individual because of the questions. And also he was a very good guest, very, like you said, down to earth, and yet an Annapolis graduate that, that's been there and done that in multiple different ways. Yet he was able to come across as, someone that would be, that you could maybe, have at the barbecue if we're social distancing these days, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and so now you mentioned Scene Chicago. I know that people also probably picked up on that too.
Yes.
For your podcast, but also Scene Chicago. Let's kind of clear that up too. So you actually are working.
I do a lot.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm director for the Chicago meet for Scene Chicago. So I whoever I meet, I'm like, oh, let me get an exclusive on you, and we just do an exclusive through all of our channels. And it's a great way just to support. So to support people that, whether they have some kind of non-for-profit, whether they have a show like yours, where they have, running for office, or they're an artist. I mean, it's just a great outlet for us to support those people that are living their authentic life, and trying to make a difference, whatever that might be. So I am director for the Chicago Meet side of things, and it's a great way for me to get other people's voices heard. So, and then I can parlay that into being a guest on my show, and so we can give them some recognition there and some coverage there as well.
So do I need to say thank you for the fact that there was an article done on this particular show? Were you involved in some way
No, no, no.
on that too? Because I
Yeah.
know that the name that shall not be said from Scene Chicago that contacted me, and actually did such a beautiful article
Yes.
on this show and really why I started it. It really all roads back to the buddies and everything that it is that I'm doing. Oh, okay. So Jason is okay. I see. So he's helping you out even in bigger ways. 54 is Jason,
Oh, got
and,
you.
and
Okay.
43 is Ben.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Elijah.
Fact checker. Thank you. No, there's a team of people with Scene Chicago, so there are other people that are bringing other individuals in and giving them that spotlight as well. So I'm not, I'm just director over it, but there are other people that are bringing other, new stories to light. So I'm just lucky to have that title, I guess.
And I will say too that Scene Chicago, after winning the next Impactor,
Yes.
they were the first one to do an article on me.
Oh, that's
And
awesome. Yeah.
so I have a real fondness in my heart for Scene Chicago.
I was
Because
there that night with him. I was there that night and I watched. Yeah, I like the more I see your face, I'm like, oh my god, I watched her. That was such an amazing show. What you guys did to be the next Impactor is just, I mean, I was like, I got goosebumps. I think I cried a little bit during that whole show. That event. I don't know what you'd call it, but
well, it really, I would love to still see it get a second season because we were in a pandemic right now, so it was kind of like stopped a lot of things.
Yeah.
However, so I get to hold the title for another year. I'd love to see us be able to really have the second season for the Impactor, because what it's all about, it makes so much sense that we really do need people like who you are interviewing at Label Free Podcast and that you're highlighting as a director at Scene Chicago, people that are willing to go out there and make a difference in their community, in their state, in their government, in their country, in the world, because this is a global competition. And 9 months of grueling global competition.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was, you talk about Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. We had a little of that going on.
It was impressive, though. It was impressive.
Well, thank you. And I will say this, many of the people that ended up, because it was not that we competed against each other, we competed against time. And many of the people that are on the teams that I have that are making a difference for the nonprofit and those people affected by cancer are people that I met through the Impactor.
Oh, wow.
And so the bonds that were created are lifelong bonds, and you can't ask for more than that.
No.
So let me ask you this, because I'm going to just bring this up here because okay, it only took you have some of these kind of things where it only took the virus with a 99% survival rate to convince America to
I stand by it. I mean,
and I want to say thank you for what you shared here, and I'm going to take down the banner on the bottom so that people can really see these, and that convince America to give up their rights, and then you really have been sharing the education. If you're going to, and I even have some that were just sent to me. I mean, they're really pretty and they're very cool and they're very cute and everything. I have a Minnie Mouse one that someone sent me. It's material. And then I have another one that's, if I feel like, okay, I want to wear something that's going to match this, I got something. But, and I actually wore this so I could do this because it was like, okay, what in reading the cloth mask one, what is it telling us, Deanna?
It doesn't do anything for you.
So it might make us sweaty.
I won't wear it. I refuse to wear it. So I won't support businesses that are requiring it. I feel like, so I think of it like this. My late husband, we would have had to take extra precautions because of his compromised immune system. I am sensitive to people that have to live in that bubble because I know what that would have been like. But I also know the kind of man that he was, and he would not approve or agree with what we're going through right now, because I really feel that a lot of this has been like almost brainwashing. I mean, I have family that has been really affected by it from the psychologically. I think that the psychological impact has been a lot more detrimental than the actual physical impact itself. I mean, I'm sorry, but people are going to die. People are going to die. We don't live forever, and it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. And the virus, what is it, 0.006%? I mean, the seasonal flu kills more people than this has. And it's, if you just step back and you read the science, if you read the science about it and you actually do your homework and you listen to the doctors, like the actual, like other doctors that are, I mean, listen to all sides and then make a decision. But I, as a healthy individual that has had to deal with someone that's had a compromised immune system, that I administered dialysis. So the amount of training I had to go through for that, I know, I can understand from a medical standpoint. I really can, but I do not believe that what is being forced upon us is necessary. I don't believe it.
And I do want to say again, because Deanna, especially because of the article that was done through Scene Chicago, that I do represent a very highly,
yes,
that they do need to take precautions.
Yeah.
And I have to really walk a fine line when it comes to this, because there are, yes, I'm using this as fun and everything, but there are ways, and they have shared that there are ways to take the masks, the material masks, and make them at least a better percentage of a chance to be something that's going to help. And within the buddies that we have, many that are in current treatment. For those that do not know, I am the president and co-founder of a nonprofit that is global, and we are dealing with people's lives that are affected by cancer. And so many are in treatment, or they are in extended situations because they are stage 4. We take that very seriously. And yet, with that said, we also educate ourselves every Wednesday night of what we need to do and how we can do it in precautions and what really means something. And Sherry is one of our senior ambassadors, Deanna. So what ones should those of us use that are compromised? Because she is on chemotherapy on an ongoing basis.
Sure. Well, the N95 mask seems to be the most effective. I mean, even that, the micrometers or something like that is not even 100% effective. I mean, so if my husband was alive today and he was on his immunosuppressors and all that, we probably wouldn't be able to leave the house. I mean, so I do understand those people that are immunocompromised, and I wouldn't want to affect them, but to stop the herd immunity from happening and actually have the real science happen, and especially for children that are healthy, like, come on, like, they need to be exposed to germs and bacteria so they can build up their immune system. I mean, that's just what we were taught in basic health class. But for people that are immunocompromised, I mean, you do have to take those precautions, and I'm sympathetic to that. So the N95 is the one that's supposed to be the best, but that's not even 100% effective. So I mean, you really just have to be really careful and be conscious of what you're touching, in just your body. I mean, that's, I just know, I think about it a lot. If my husband was alive today, what we would have to do, the precautions that we'd have to take.
Right, right. And Skip is saying a 95 mask can only be worn for a
Sure.
couple of hours at it,
Yeah.
and Sherry is saying exactly. We do have people that that this is a fine line, and I'm glad that we're
It's,
being able to discuss this together because in truth you do, and that's why we took this story like we did to
yeah.
bring to this point. Now, I gotta ask you this because I want to know.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about running for office?
You know what? I've had some conversations with my one of my best friends about this, and I was just like, at this point, I should just run because, like, I feel like we're lacking such strong leadership figures. I mean, in this world, period, right now. I mean, it is chaos. But I have joked about it. I just don't know if I'd be comfortable going out there asking for people to like fund my campaign because I'm really weird with money. Like to ask somebody for help like that, I don't know. But I have.
Okay,
I've
okay,
talked about
okay,
it.
okay. So let's talk here. Let's talk turkey. Let's talk. Okay, so you believe, and you believe enough that you're putting, and oh, by the way, and Elijah, these images are not mine. These images are actually on Deanna's page.
Yeah.
I always, whenever we have a guest, these are their images. So all images, go ahead and talk with Deanna. They're on her Facebook page. That's where I found them. He loved the 99% one and then the mask one. So those were the two
Yeah.
images he was asking for. Now, I had to get over some of that stuff to become impactor. I really did. I had to believe enough in what my cause was that it was not about me and it was about the cause and those people that I'm serving.
Sure.
And you, my dear, are someone that you think about, where have you been? You were there running these businesses. You said yourself miss being, what was that word with an
A
L?
leader.
A leader. Yeah, you miss being a leader.
Yeah.
And you were nominated as a service hero because you are one that has a heart to look for those stories and those people that are making a difference. We need those kind of people. And uh you know,
You guys are funny.
oh, we're a fun group. I told you we are gonna have fun here, right? Didn't I
Yes.
say? Run, Deanna, run.
Oh my goodness. You guys are twisting my arm over here.
And we do have a lot of friends that are in the greater Chicagoland area. We really do. I am in the Southern California area. Sherry's in the Grand Rapids, Skip's in Arkansas. So we're that group. We're a whole different group. Yet we do have a lot of people that will be watching this from the greater Chicagoland area. So guys, when you do, reach out to her if you feel that this might be a good idea. Because I will say this: there was an image here that really, when you shared this, and I thought, okay, you're sharing that, and I'm thinking we need a lot of people that have that kind of courage, that have that kind of determination, that I mean, my goodness, even the stuff that you're willing to post, it's like, okay, you are a woman out there and you've got your priorities in place. You
Yeah.
are standing for your truth. You're willing to make a difference. You're willing. And Elijah's like, yes, okay. Kind of like, okay, done deal. Okay. And so I'm gonna actually right now, I'm gonna drop myself down from the line for a moment. I'm gonna give you a moment alone to talk to everybody, leave everybody with a nugget, something of inspiration, something that you and oh, Sherry is saying that she loves that picture. I do too. I do too. I love it.
Yeah.
And what it is that you would like to share with everyone, and then I'm going to bring myself up, and then we're going to close out our fun time. Okay.
Hi, guys. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in and being so interactive. And I hope that you enjoyed listening to me today and my story. A nugget that I would leave you with, I guess, that after everything that I've been through and just the lives that I've lived, that there's nothing like living your truth and being your most authentic self, whatever that means. And I think that when we're living our most authentic self and we're being true to ourselves, that, that things happen for us in a miraculous ways. And that's all that we can really expect from each other. And I think that we get caught up, and a lot of people get caught up in the madness and the chaos, and they aren't able to really know who they are. And I think a lot of the social media has created they've convoluted, who people are, convoluted themselves. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I think you get the gist. Is there anything you gonna ask me? I was not expecting to be thrown on here by myself for a minute.
That's all right. You're doing a great job in that, that really your truth. I'll just help you out here. That your authentic, being true and being your authentic self. I love that. You guys check out. I would love for you to put your contact information, how they can find you, how they can find out more about you, because when you do, you guys are going to just absolutely love this woman as much as I do, because she is her authentic self. She is real. Can you not just, I didn't even pull all the best wigs even, it's like,
I know, I love my wigs.
She's got the yellow ones going on. She's got the white ones. She's got the this ones. And then the photo shoots that you've been doing recently. And, and everything, just to say, okay, guys, stay in health, stay healthy, stay active, keep going. And, and you're living your authentic life.
Yes.
And you're living it large, and you're living it loud, and you're willing to then share with everyone else. And yes, you've got fur babies, and that
I do,
and that's okay. That's okay.
He was good the whole time until now. I think he's seen people outside.
Oh, okay. Well, we're just about we're almost done. And so white wig reminds me of, and let's see, of GOT.
What's that?
G period O period T period. Not quite sure what that means. Of God. GOT. I'm not quite
Game
sure.
of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. I remember. I read those books. That was cool. All right. So, as I would just like to say this, first of all, thank you for Game of Thrones. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. She got it. Ding, ding, ding. We played game nights on Sunday night. You would have gotten that one. That would have been cool for Deanna. All right. So, I want to say thank you for our friend at Scenes Chicago for nominating you. You are a delight and truly a service hero. So how do we find her? How do we find you?
Do I type it or
afterwards, Skip?
Oh, okay.
We'll have her put that information in, and then into the YouTube, because I'm going to upload this into YouTube. If you want to give me more information, then I'll load it into your YouTube, and so that people can find you from there too, because it's easier to find than on Facebook.
Yeah.
So and a shameless plug, I just started loading those shows on YouTube. If you guys would start subscribing, that would be great. If we could get some numbers. Thank you. I appreciate it. Each one means something. I appreciate it. So, all right. So as we close today, the Service Hero Show on July the 7th, 2020, 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. Deanna Marie, you are definitely, we have determined you are a service hero.
Thank you.
We are definitely in agreement also that you are a woman that stands for her authentic self, her authentic truth. You've been through it. You've been there. You've done that. You've had to learn to live life, and you've done it on your terms, and you're doing it loudly and boldly, and so exciting to see you doing this. And not only that, you are sharing your truth, and you are allowing others in turn to share their truth in your podcast. And you also are styling that makeup really beautifully. So,
Thank you.
those that want to follow her on podcast, it is called Label Free,
Yes.
a very cool podcast. And so thank you for being with us, Deanna.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tamara. It was a blast. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad you had fun. I'm glad.
Yes, a lot of fun.
Good. And then the buddies, tonight is Travel Tuesday. We do have a guest, so come on in. If you guys haven't joined our buddies, there's 2 requirements. What takes place there stays there, and it is a safe place for those people within our organization. The way you find us is Chemo Buddies, the number 4 Life. Go to the page on Facebook, go to groups, ask to join the Chemo Buddies for Life community. You'll be asked that you will abide by our rules, and then we share a lot of humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love there. You might even learn something. All right, we'll have to have you into the group too, Deanna.
Yes, for sure. I'd love to hear.
All right, you've got an invitation now. All right, see you guys tonight. Bye, everyone.
Bye.